Hi and welcome, Rebels. And I've got a doozy for you. This is something that I would have never thought would happen in America ever again. And that is the loosening of child labor laws. Now, last night when I heard it, I'm like, I don't believe this. This has got to be misinformation. This has got to be fake news. Nope, it's not fake news. Florida and Ron DeSantis are doing whatever they can to make it so that it's easier for children to go back to work. This was something that we had to deal with in the Great Depression. This was something that we had to deal with um, uh, throughout history. But I thought part of our evolution was that children were allowed to have a childhood. And that way they weren't required to work, or if they needed to go to work, the laws would prevent it because it was up to the parents to support the children. But I guess in a way to be able to, fight and combat inflation, and to be able to fight and combat because a lot of this is being done because of the immigrants. So as we're kicking them out, we realize, oh wait, they were picking our food. Now we don't have them. So how do we fix this? Oh, hey, let's put the children to work. And in a lot of ways, I might agree with it just a tiny bit, because when I was a kid, um, my parents, they wanted me, or I wanted to be able to choose my own clothes. My parents said, well, if you want to choose your own school clothes, you've got to go out there. You got to go work. Well, you know what? I painted my grandma's fence at 25 cents an hour. I went and mowed like 2 or 3 acres worth of lawn for $20. I mean, I got really taken advantage of as a kid, because when an adult realizes that they can get you to do work for almost nothing and they don't have to pay you, because all that is money for you to go to the candy store because mommy and daddy have enough money to support you, then you don't have to pay a child as much as like anybody else. And so we're moving along the same lines as, let's say, China, going back to Depression era tactics. We're going back to stuff that we've always done in history, which is, the kids are here to earn their own keep. Now, again, I kind of agree on it a little bit, because it teaches you responsibility, it teaches you work ethic, it teaches you not to be soft, and so you'll probably get a lot better. You'll probably get a lot better results from the next generation of children, at least that are coming out of Florida, that do this. But is it right? Is it something that we should be doing? I would really like to know your thoughts down in the comments, because I find this to be something that it does bother me a little bit. But I think that I think it's something that should raise an alarm to you as an individual. If you have children, you've got a 13-year-old, that 13-year-old can go spend their summers working in the field, and the farmers can pay them as low a wages as they were paying the illegal immigrants. And so, is this a win, or is this a backslide for America? Is and how, like, I do, just this still baffles me, because I worked as a kid, but I did it because I wanted to. I mean, I would go every summer. I would go around the neighborhood, and I'd take my lawnmower and I'd be like, I'll mow your lawn for $20 a week, and I'd probably have 3 or 4 clients, and that's how I supported myself over the summer. It taught me self-reliance. It taught me how to get my own hustle on. It made me confident in my ability to go out there and become a business owner later on. There's a lot of positives that come from that, but also you got to think about the developmental things that are going on with the child, because as they're growing up, they have to develop in a certain way so that they can grow up and become productive and become healthy. The environment that they're raised in has just as much of an impact as their genetics, and so it's important that we give that we give our children an opportunity to grow up. Now, I don't think that this should be an option, because what's going to happen is a lot of parents, because I'll tell you what happened when I went to go buy those, when I went to go work for those clothes. So my stepmom, she even made me do pull weeds, penny a weed. Made like $10 that summer. I pulled 2,000 weeds, but she figured out a way to short me. But at the end of the day, I raised, out of the $300 I needed to raise, I raised something like $280 more than enough to cover my clothes for that year, because it's like, we're talking early 90s, like 92, 93. Okay, so it was, I was able to afford a school's clothes. But no, they kept the money for themselves, and then they went out there and chose me, and I got sent to school and things that got me made fun of and got me into a lot of fights, which is why I ended up becoming a decent fighter, was because because the clothes that my parents were picking out for me was stuff that it's like I don't know, like what was wrong. Like, were they trying to create problems for me? And so on and so forth. Well, that was the whole motivation for me to go work that whole summer. So then I worked that whole summer to get robbed. And hey, you know what? That's a great lesson for your children, because that's basically what companies and the government do to you on a daily basis. Anyways, is they make you work for pennies on the dollar, then they rob you blind and say you should be grateful for what you got. You're lucky we didn't take more. That's basically that was the lesson I learned from being a child. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think that this is a good thing? Do you think that this is something that we should be really concerned about? And if you think it's a good thing, tell me why. If you think it's a bad thing, give me a well outlined argument on why you think it's a bad thing. But for those of you that like this content, don't forget to join the rebellion, become a rebel. Thanks for being here, rebels, and I will see you in the next one.